Well, hello and welcome back, Farming Simulator enthusiasts. I appreciate you guys coming back to the Grizzly Bear Sims YouTube channel once again for another installment of Paradise Hills. This is episode number 5. This is our third game day, and we have reached a point to where that we need to start thinking about how we invest some of the money that we've earned um, back into our farming operations. Now, just to sort of recap from the previous episode, we had actually, this is field number 2, which we did not own at the time, but we harvested the corn off of this field, delivered that corn down to the biogas facility, um, unloaded it into the bunker, we compacted it, we fermented it into silage, and then we sold that at the BGA. So that, in addition to sort of unloading some of the equipment that we just didn't need and really weren't planning on using immediately, or we have mods that we would rather use um, versus the in-game stuff. We now set at a bank account of $1.7 million, $1.7 million dollars. So we need to determine what we're going to do with this and how we're going to play this. Now, unfortunately, in real life, I think farmers have the opportunity from time to time to maybe lease fields um, from other individuals to plant on and stuff like that. The economy in Farming Sim 15 just does not allow for that. So you either have a choice of owning the field and having full access to doing whatever you want with that field, or not owning it. And if the field is planted, FS15 does allow you to go ahead and harvest that. But as it currently stands, we've harvested everything on this map. Just let me go over to this screen here. We've harvested everything that's on the map that's available. So essentially, we started off with owning field number 1, field number 12, field number 13, and we harvested field number 1, which was wheat. We harvested field number 2, which was corn, and again, we sent the corn down to the biogas facility down here. And we also harvested field number 13, which was sugar beets. Okay, so technically we only harvested one field that did not belong to us, and that was field number 2. But the deal that we made with the bank was if they allowed us access to that field to be able to harvest that corn off of it, because the bank certainly did not want to see that corn crop go to waste. The previous owner of this empire had sort of left that field and abandoned it, and it was just going to go to waste. So the deal that we made with the bank was allow us access into field number 2 to harvest that corn, to deliver that to the biogas facility, turn that into some money, and we would honor our word and we would purchase field number 2. So, like I said, unfortunately, the game, doesn't allow you to do anything with fields that you do not own. So we're going to take a slight leap of faith here, and we're going to go ahead and spend 754,000 of our 1.7 million dollars and go ahead and buy field number 2. So there we go. Wow. It kind of hurts initially to see that money disappear out of your bank account that way, but that is just the nature of the game. Now with Farm Sim 17, and I don't know all the details around this particular feature and functionality and everything, but um, there are mechanisms within FS17 from what I've read about, heard about, and maybe even seen in some of their Giants dev blogs, that you will be able to interact with, they're virtually, of course, the landowners of the fields in which you do not own in FS17, and perhaps do work for them, which will help you in turn earn a little bit of revenue without actually having to buy the field. They even go so far as to supplying all of the equipment to you. So it kind of changes things just a little bit, in the sense that, you might get to try out some bigger, larger equipment that you may not already own on your farm, and then go and do a little bit of work for someone else. I don't know. Again, I don't know how all that works. I would think that, that maybe, you might have the opportunity even using your own equipment. I don't know. I think that might be a little more realistic in the real world. That if you've got maybe a struggling farmer situation that may have had to sell off some of their equipment, yet they still have land, um, that you could go and help out. I don't know how that's going to play out. We'll just have to see, once we get closer to release day, or after release day actually, for Farming Sim 17. So, one of the things that we are facing with all of our fields right now, regardless of whether we've really done anything to them, is we have a soil, bit of a soil condition issue with them, in the sense that they are all very, very acidic. They all have a very strong, acid level, acidity to them, and we need to tackle that with lime. So one of the things that we sort of did, and I'm not going to say we did it wrong, because the game doesn't really penalize you. But when we planted our wheat crop on field number one, which we did that, the last video. Let me just fill this right quick. Is we spread lime on the field, and then we cultivated that lime in, and then we planted on it. Now I did come back for field number one before I started this video. I came back to field number one, which is our wheat crop, our wheat field down here, and I spread a second application of lime onto this field. Now, I don't, like I said, the game does not penalize you for this. I think in the real world, if you had spread lime on a field that had any sort of growth to it at all, and as you can see, we'll just jump out of our tractor here and walk down to the field. We've got some nice healthy growth, to our wheat plants here, and like I said, you can see that I spread the lime on top of it. I think in the real world, this would not be a wise decision. I think the lime would perhaps, not saying that it would wipe the entire crop out. Maybe it would. I'm actually not a real farmer, so, um, but, I don't think that we would do it this way. It was sort of up against the wall because I didn't want to burn, a game day just to wait, which we probably should have done. But we do have the luxury because, we are taking, planting of our fields a bit slow now. So what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of work um, from top to bottom, I guess. And we're going to go over here to field number two, and we're going to hire a worker, and we're going to let this worker go ahead and, spread lime on this field. Because let me just again park, and we will jump out, and let's just take a look at our soil conditions. So our soil conditions are very similar to what we saw, with our other field number one, which is wheat. Now I've got a little bit of a system. It is somewhat manual, in the sense that it involves some forms that I designed, printed up, and, in a very nice spreadsheet that I found, um, on one of the mod hosting websites, that sort of help, you plug in some values to determine what you're going to need to do based on the present field conditions as well as future considerations such as weather. So let me just, what I need to do is I need to bring the spreadsheet down, and I need to go over and I need to activate monitor capture very quickly for you. So hopefully you will see this. This is a soil mod spreadsheet, and I labeled it Graceland. I was using this on the Graceland map. And so this allows us to plug in some information, some numbers to this spreadsheet to get an understanding of what we're going to basically need to do as things go along. So let's just I need to move this out of the way just a little bit where I can see these numbers. So our soil pH is setting at 5.4. Okay, so that's very low. We're gonna plant corn back on this field because corn, maize. Okay, because I think we're gonna probably want to send this corn back to the BGA um, and um, and convert that into a little bit more cash. So I don't want to heavily use the BGA, but it is factored into the game. We're not cheating. We're not doing anything that the game doesn't allow. So yeah. N and PK are at 4 and 2. The soil humidity is at 57%. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to move this out of the way. We need to come back down here and we need to look at what our weather forecast looks like. So over the next 4 days, so basically if we plant and then we're basically going to be ready to harvest somewhere in here in the Saturday Sunday range. I think we've got 3 days actually that we can harvest, which is sort of good to keep things from getting too hectic around the farm. But so we're looking at 4 days here. We have only one of those days is above 22 degrees. Okay, so if we bring our spreadsheet back down here again, and we come in here and we put one day above 22. Now the other sort of sad thing about this is that we have 0 days of rain. So 0 days of rain. Um, So we will need to, obviously accommodate for that. Now, all of this is in much greater detail in that video series that I keep talking about, practical use of the soil mod, where I basically break down each growth stage as I plant and harvest a one particular field on the Graceland map. So I do encourage you to go and look at those videos because I do go into much greater detail. So we plug these numbers in. We are on 1 day per growth cycle, so that's essentially harvesting in 4 days for most crops. We don't have any green manure. Let me make sure. Let's see what. Yeah, we don't have swath. We don't have plants. So we basically have no green manure. We have no compost yet. We don't have any cows or anything like that to create. Although we could create compost with we've got a compost facility, but we don't have any of that. We don't have any manure either. We don't have any liquid manure. So we are just sort of at the mercy of using more or less both granular type fertilizer or liquid fertilizer. And we'll find that in most situations it's going to be better, especially with no rain in the forecast, that we will be spraying versus spreading on most things here. So we are going to do one application of lime cultivated and one application of lime spread. That's going to help to bring our pH up a little bit. So yeah, let me just jump down here. So as we let me zero these out because you'll sort of see what I'm talking about. If based on our current conditions, if we did nothing, we would end up at the end of the growth stage, whenever we got ready to harvest, we would end up with a pH of 4.8, very low. Because keep in mind that moisture is consumed during the growth stage, so are nutrients, as well as pH is also affected. So the acidity levels will continue to increase as the pH values drop as the plants go through their growth cycles. So we already know that we need to cultivate one application of lime into the field. That's going to bump us up to 5.7, or give us an 86% yield on the crop. So we want to try to do better than that if we can. So we're also going to spread one application as well, which will give us a 6.4 value and give us a 90% yield. Not bad. I'll take that. Um, I'll take that. So other considerations that we have to consider is our, let me just zero these out. I should have done that just a few minutes ago. But if we don't add any fertilizer through the growth stage, then we're going to end up with less than 50% yield on the crop. And just for grins and giggles, let me also zero these out, and you'll sort of get an idea as to how poor. Let's take out the water. And wow, I mean, we would end up, if we did nothing at all but just plant, with these numbers. That's not even worth dragging the tractor out of the garage, okay? So we're going to have to water twice. We're going to have to spread lime. We're going to have to cultivate lime in. We're going to do that. We're going to add one application of NPK, one application of PK, and we're going to use a double herbicide as well. And remember that we can either fertilize or we can spray herbicide, but we can't do both in the same day. Okay, so if all things being considered, this is what we can expect to end up with. pH is 6.4, 71% humidity, which is a bit high, okay? But I guess what we could do, we can play with this here. Okay, that's what we'll do. We'll just water once, okay? And then we'll end up with an 57% humidity, which is perfect because that would get us ready to go for the next harvest. An N of 5, which is perfect, and a PK a little bit lower than what we would want. But I think that if we come in here and if we were to say 2 PK, we're going to end up high on this, and we're also going to end up high on our moisture content. So we're just going to go ahead and take that loss and deal with it. That's still 93% yield on this field. That's not bad at all. Okay, so I just need to very quickly transfer this information to my manual piece of paper here, because if I don't, then I'll forget what we're doing. So it's field number 2. The crop type is is corn. By the way, I have a link to my manual form that I use on. If you watch those videos, it'll tell you where to find that. So this is day 3. The pH level is 5.4. The moisture is 57%. These are current values. Just making note of those. We've got an N of 4 and a PK of 2. We have minimal weed infestation, not really worried about that. Weather above 22 is 1 degree. We have 0 rain days, unfortunately. So that our plan is going to be to, I just need to scroll down here. We are going to water 1 time. We're going to do 2 lime applications. We're going to do 1 N, 1 PK. These are going to be liquid form. We're going to do a herbicide of, let me get my other notes here. And for corn, remember I was talking about the other day that you have to be careful about the herbicide with the type of crop that you're going to use. Corn does not like a herbicide B. We can use A or C. So we'll just use a double dose of C. And we have none of those other none of those other things. So we are going to go ahead and once again for this field we will spread the lime. We will cultivate the lime in and sort of go from there. Okay, so that is our corn. Now we'll go back to our wheat crop momentarily and and address what we need to do there. But what I wanted to do here was go ahead and go back over here to our tractor. And like I said, we're going to hire a worker to spread this lime because they'll do it relatively quick. We can go and do a couple of other things. We're going to buy some equipment as well. We're sort of at that point to where we can start thinking about, okay, well, we will, some equipment we're going to use. Okay, and he is off. All right, so let me go back over here. We're going to need this guy at some point, so let me go ahead and just back him out of the garage, out of the barn here. Now, fortunately with the rental mod, that does give us some flexibility with renting equipment. By the way, I also went ahead and picked up all of the silage that was done here before I took well, I basically parked the telehandler over there, but that gave us that gave us 119,000 liters of silage down here on the farm. So eventually we'll take that silage and move that over to the mixing station. But a few things that we're going to almost always do each and every day throughout our farming activities here is we are going to need to spray. That's just either it's going to be spraying water, it's going to be spraying um, it's going to be spraying herbicide, or it's going to be spraying fertilizer. So because of that, because it's going to be a tool that we're going to use every single day, I think it's probably in our best interest to go ahead and purchase that sprayer that we used the other day. So I'm going to go into and I'm going to call up the store there and go ahead and have a sprayer, have this guy here deliver a brand new sprayer to us. So we're running through the money there. Just spent 245,000, and like I said, because we have a nice relationship with our dealer, he is going to go ahead and deliver that to us. So that will be on the farm. And there it is. Look at that. That was quick. That was fast. Let me take a sip of coffee here. I would encourage you to do the same. All right, very good coffee. Um, so while we've got a hired worker working down in field number 2, we are going to go ahead and take a look at what else we need to do for for our field number 1. And today, our plan basically called for. Now let me just quickly mention something here, because when we took the numbers and everything down for field number 1, and we did this during the previous game day, so game day number 2, that indicated to us that we would have 2 days above 22 degrees Celsius. And as you can see, we only have 1 day above 22 degrees Celsius. Um, I could save and exit out of this game and come back in, and these numbers will change. And that's unfortunate, but also I suppose that's kind of like real life, because you've heard the analogy, wait 5 minutes, the weather will change. So that is sort of being factored in. Just because the weatherman thinks that it's going to rain tomorrow doesn't necessarily mean that it will. Or just because the weatherman thinks that tomorrow should be sunny and beautiful, again, doesn't mean that it will. So keep in mind that those numbers will change, maybe like real life, where you just kind of have to see how things go. And that adds to the strategy, I think, of your gameplay and makes things a little bit more realistic, I believe. Um, so we're going to, with our wheat crop, um, we are going to go ahead, because we know, if we can find our pen here, we are going to go ahead and do a liquid application for day 2 of N. So let's go to our sprayer. Oops. And we will add our sprayer to a group here. We'll add it to group 7, and we'll call group 7 sprayer. May change the group name at a later date, but anyway, that's where we are. So let's go ahead and get this guy fired up. And by the way, the sprayer that I rented yesterday in yesterday's gameplay was I had found this sprayer in 2 different varieties, or 2 different, they basically both looked the same because I think they were both the same mod, but one of the mod sites had this thing with a 25,000 liter capacity on it, and so I got rid of that mod and put the right mod in the folder, and we are good to go. So this should have about I think it's 4,500, 5,000, 6,000, something like that. So we'll see. And remember, if the mod's set up correctly, you can only change the values while you're next to the fertilize tank. So we're going to go in, right? Is that what I said? Yep, 1 dose of N. So let me just back away. I wanted to test and see if that yeah, for whatever reason, you can change the values. And I don't think it's this mod. This is the same sprayer I used on Graceland, and you could not change the values once you moved away from. So it must be something with the map. Maybe it's something that Stevie has set up that that's not the same on all maps. All right, so our spreader is still going. Let me just kind of, and we'll unfold our sprayer. And what I also like to do is I like to make notes of the soil conditions on my form here, sort of as we go along. So again, this is the wheat crop. Our pH level came up to 6 from 5.4, and our soil moisture is at 57%. Our N is at 3. Our pK is at 2. And again, we're going to be spraying. The N. All right. Zoom out just a little bit so I can see make sure I've got my overlap. And I will try to remember to clear those HUDs off the screen a little bit more frequently than I have in the past, just because so that you guys can see more of what there is to see instead of looking at those informational HUDs. I use a mod called HUD Hider. There was a new update available for it, which didn't work well for me. It conflicted with another mod. When I hit the control key, I couldn't get to the other features that supposedly were available with that mod, and so I went ahead and went back to the old version, because all I really need it to do is just hide everything, or hide as much as it possibly can. I couldn't get to those other features because of another mod that I use that used those same key commands, I guess. So as I record this video, it happens to be the first day of October. Also, as I record this video, I have yet to actually make available any of the videos in this series. As I mentioned maybe in the first video, I really wanted to build a little bit of a queue, because I know that when people start watching videos, you want to be able to watch, as much of it as possible. I do have a busy work schedule, and I think that even though right now I've managed to be able to record, this will be the 5th video in the span of maybe 3 or 4 days, actual real life days. That's going to change a little bit, and it's going to probably come to a point to where that I'm going to be able to record farm sim videos maybe about twice a week, because I do have other interests both in the gaming world as well as other hobbies that I enjoy doing. So having said that, I'm sort of building up a little bit of a backlog, if you will, of videos. I'm going to start releasing those here shortly, and then that way I will be able to also do other things, play other games, interact with other people, etc. I have the Grizzly Bear Trucking Company, and we enjoy doing multiplayer stuff on the multiplayer servers, and so lots of different things going on. But I wanted to build just a little bit of a buffer for myself, so that I wouldn't be stressed. I don't want this to ever become like a job. I don't ever want to think to myself, I have got to go downstairs and record a YouTube video, because when it becomes that, then I might as well turn the keys off and call it quits, because unfortunately I have to get up during the work week, Monday through Friday, and go to work. Got to. Otherwise my wife would probably divorce me. But I don't have to ever come downstairs and record a YouTube video. I want it to remain that I want to come downstairs and record a YouTube video, because I want to share something with whomever wants to watch it. And again, as I said in video number 1, I am not out to make a living from this. I'm not out to make any sort of revenue. I don't plan to monetize. my YouTube channel. I think it's probably more trouble than it's worth. I'm not aiming to quit my day job and become a full-time game streamer. Don't want to do that. I love my job actually, and but at the same time, you know, this is sort of an extension of my hobby. So, all right, so we've spread our end. We can go ahead and fold our sprayer up. And sort of move him out of the way. Let me bring my HUDs back here. So we're about 50%. So we will need to go over and fill this guy back up. We will go ahead and change this to CC because we will need that to be CC whenever we do our herbicide right after we plant. So I'm just going to park this guy over here out of the way. I'll park him here. All right, and let's see how our case Puma's doing. Looks like he is almost done. That's good because we're going to go ahead and move him down to the other fields as well. As soon as he is done. All right. So let's sort of spin around here, see where we are in the world. Because what I want to do is I want to go ahead and head down to field number 12 and field number 13. The reason for that is because well, basically what I wanted to go ahead and do is while I have sort of not necessarily, you know, again, I've not done anything that isn't capable within the game, meaning we've not cheated, we've not done anything wrong, but what I want to do is I want to go ahead and correctly handle field 12 and 13 with regards to how one would distribute lime. So we're gonna spread the lime, we're gonna cultivate the lime on those two fields, and then we're gonna wait to the very next day before we plant one of them. Again, I'm just sort of looking at, you know, what I can do to get the most activity within a game day without burning time. You know what I mean? And you'll get to see a little bit more of Stevie's map here. Now, something else I have been thinking about, and I've actually been testing a new multiplayer, dedicated multiplayer server, is starting a multiplayer server for a very small group of individuals. In order to get access to this multiplayer server, you must pay. Just kidding. I must basically know you. I must get to know you. Because one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to run the multiplayer server with soil mod, with whatever equipment that we want to have, more or less do it for the fun aspects versus, you know, the let's see where we're going. I think okay, this is field 13 or field 12, which we own, so we're going to go ahead and turn this guy loose on this field. And let's bounce back down to our main farm. All right, one other thing that we're going to most always need to do on a fairly regular basis, because if we're going to essentially, once all of our fields are planted, we're going to be harvesting probably a field a day. Just kind of cycling through the available fields. We'll pick up more fields as we accumulate more money. Is we're probably going to need to just buy the cultivator that we rented the other day, and I think also probably purchase another tractor as well. I've got somebody messaging me here. All right. And what we're going to go with is we're going to go with this cultivator. So that's 51,000. And let's take a look at so that cultivator requires 300 horsepower. So I think this John Deere at 385,000. So we're burning through our money pretty quick here, folks. But that's okay, because this is we're going to reset that back to the farm, and we're going to reset that back to the farm. Again, when you purchase hardware, when you purchase equipment from the same dealership as we do, we get excellent service from them. So that's amazing. So we'll fire this guy here up, and let's put him in. We'll put him in the large tractor category for right now. I think he's more. We'll put him in the medium range. Okay. Spin around, grab this cultivator. And we're also going to hire the worker and let him do this as well. This is quite a large field, so tell you what, let's kit this guy out with well, I guess you can't do it because we didn't pick up the duals. Okay, not a problem. All right, so he is on his way. All right, let's bounce and see where this guy is. He's doing his thing. And again, we will take the readings from what I will do in this game day. Obviously, this video is getting up to about 45 minutes or so. So what I'm going to do, our game plan for the rest of this this session, or this game day, I should say, is I'm going to finish spreading the lime on field 12, move over and spread lime on field 13. When the cultivator is done from field 2, we'll move the cultivator and tractor down to field 12 and 13 and have him cultivate these two fields, okay? And then we're just going to let those go. And then at some point, you know, game day 4, we'll come down, we'll take our soil measurements. The pH should be up to around 6.0 or so once we do the cultivation and such, so that should be much improved, and then we won't have to spread lime onto a somewhat already planted field. But again, the game doesn't penalize you for that, but I don't know how that would work in real life. Something else that I wanted to do, because this little cedar that we have here is just a bit small, especially that's going to be small for field 2. It's going to take forever to seed things with this little tiny guy here. Unfortunately, you know, with working Graceland and States, those are massive fields. Each and every one of them is a massive field. I think even the smallest was it took quite a while. I used this ginormous air seeder. It basically allows you to fertilize and plant at the same time. This is a 22.5 meter version. This one is a smaller 14 meter version. Let's look at in-game stuff here. Normally I use this guy here on these types of fields. We already own one of those, so this is probably, for now, this is probably a big, large enough seeder for what we need to do it, use it for. Again, this will allow us to plant wheat, barley, canola, and grass. Not that we're going to plant any grass, but we've got this guy here for corn, I suppose. Since we're only going to be planting corn today, well, this does corn and sugar beets. I'll hold off on purchasing the seeder for right now because we basically don't need to do that today. Anyways, we don't have a need, so we will at least keep those funds alive. So basically, we are done for the day with this field. The only thing that we needed to do to this field today was essentially apply the N fertilizer. So we've done this. This field's taken care of, and we just now need to just work on what we're going to do with our other field. So again, I talked about corn, and so we're going to go ahead and go grab our corn. Of course, hang on, let me look in the store one more time. I did pick up a mod that I've never used before. Um, this row crop planter, which if I'm again, I'm not a real farmer, um, so certainly bear with me on these things. But I would assume that these types of air seeders is um, what you would use for, even though it says it plants corn, I would think these are the type of seeders that you would use for wheat and barley and such, where these row crop seeders like this, for example, is what you would use to plant corn with. Um, so that is who knows what the working width of that is. You know, if you are a modder and you're listening, and you're probably not, but if you are, um, why don't you put all of the description information into the mod? Um, help us out. Help those of us out that, you know, this one's kind of perfect. It tells you everything that you need to know, what the capacity is, the working width, what it does. If I look at this one here, this 1770, it doesn't tell me anything. It doesn't tell me how much of a tractor I need to use with it. It doesn't tell me what it plants. It doesn't really do anything at all. Working width 27 meters. Is that even realistic? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're gonna rent this guy. It's sort of a try before you buy. Because the DB120, we're going to rent this guy and see if we even have enough tractor to pull it. And we'll rent it for 2 hours and see how that goes. And we'll have it delivered. And it's already set up on corn. Let's see if we can fill it from our seed station. Don't know if we can or not. There we go. Just had to get it just right. Alright, so 12,000 liter capacity. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I tell you what, I'm going to end this video here. We're approaching an hour with this guy. And I will pick up with the next episode right here as well. I will let our cultivator guy over there make a couple of more passes before I start the next video, in the hopes that he can stay ahead of us. I doubt that will occur for very long, since we have a much wider working width than he does. But and he's kind of crawling at a snail's pace, but we'll see how that goes. But I'll go ahead and cut this video here, and then come back and pick up where we left off. Thanks for watching.